Welcome back, coin enthusiasts. Rarest coins today, we're diving deep into one of the most fascinating coins in U.S. history, the 1965 Washington quarter dollar. You might be thinking, isn't that just a regular quarter? Well, you'd be surprised at how this seemingly ordinary coin can hold a value that might just blow your mind. We're talking about $1.7 million. Yes, you heard that right, a quarter that could be worth millions. But how did it get to that point? Stick around as we explore the history, the rarity, and the surprising worth of the 1965 Washington quarter dollar. First, let's take a look at the 1965 Washington quarter dollar. This coin, featuring the profile of George Washington on the obverse and an eagle on the reverse, is iconic. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 to commemorate George Washington's 200th birthday, but the 1965 version was produced in large numbers. Yet, for many collectors, this coin is anything but ordinary. In the 1960s, the U.S. was undergoing major changes. The country was still in the throes of the Cold War, and the mint was adjusting to changing economic conditions. In 1965, the U.S. government made a big decision due to the rising cost of silver. They decided to remove silver from the quarter. Previously, quarters were made of 90% silver, but starting in 1965, they were produced with a copper-nickel blend. Now, you might be asking, what does this change have to do with value? Well, the key lies in a very rare series of mistakes. While most 1965 Washington quarters were struck in the new copper-nickel composition, some were mistakenly struck with the older 90% silver composition. This error occurred due to a mix-up at the U.S. Mint, and the result was an incredibly rare version of the 1965 quarter. Imagine this, you're casually looking through your change, and you come across a 1965 quarter. You may think nothing of it, but if you find one of the rare silver versions, you could be holding a coin worth a fortune. The mistake was so subtle that it went unnoticed for years, but today, collectors and numismatists recognize its rarity. One of the most famous examples of this rare silver 1965 Washington quarter sold for an astounding $1.7 million in a recent auction. You're probably wondering, how could this happen? How could a single coin be worth so much? The answer lies in its rarity and the mistakes made during the minting process. Why is this coin so valuable? In the world of coin collecting, rarity is the most significant factor. The silver 1965 quarters are extremely hard to find, with only a handful known to exist. These quarters were struck accidentally and didn't make it into circulation in significant numbers, so the few that remain are considered extremely valuable by collectors. Numismatists and collectors are always on the lookout for rare and unique coins like this one, and when an auction like this takes place, the bidding can get intense. But what makes the 1965 silver Washington quarter truly extraordinary is its historical context. Not only does it represent a pivotal moment in U.S. minting history, but it also marks a coin that's rare enough to be considered a museum piece. Now, let's talk about how you can tell if you have one of these rare 1965 silver quarters. If you're lucky enough to come across a 1965 quarter, it's important to know what to look for. The key is in the sound and the weight. A silver 1965 quarter will weigh about 6.25 grams, while the regular copper-nickel quarter weighs slightly less, around 5.67 grams. You can also perform a simple sound test. The silver quarter will produce a distinct ring when struck, while the copper-nickel version will. Hey, everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're a coin collector or even just a fan of rare, valuable coins, today's episode is one you don't want to miss. We're diving deep into the Washington quarter dollar 1990D, a coin that's not only rich in history but could be worth a staggering $1.1 million. That's right. You heard it correctly. Stick around to find out why this coin could make you rich. Let's jump right into it. First, let's take a quick look at the history of the Washington quarter. Introduced in 1932 to honor the first president of the United States, George Washington, this coin quickly became one of the most recognizable and iconic coins in the U.S. Mint's history. The design has remained largely unchanged for decades, featuring George Washington's profile on the obverse and an eagle on the reverse, symbols of American strength and freedom. Now, Fast forward to 1990, the 1990D Washington quarter was minted as the Denver Mint, marked with the D Mint mark, and it's part of the series of quarters that came out in that decade. The regular 1990D quarter is worth just 25 cents up its face value. But here's where things get interesting. You see, the world of coin collecting isn't always about just regular, everyday coins. Sometimes, coins with minting errors become incredibly valuable. And that brings us to the rare case of the 1990D Washington quarter. In this case, a handful of these quarters were struck with a rare error, making them extraordinarily valuable. We're talking about a variety that went under the radar for a long time, but once discovered, it caught the eye of collectors everywhere. The most valuable version of this coin features a unique Mistake double die errors, or some extremely rare misprints. These errors happen when a coin is struck more than once with the die, causing certain features to appear more than once or slightly off-center. The 1990D Washington quarter with this type of error can fetch tens of thousands of dollars at auction, with some coins going as high as $1.1 million. That's right, the $1.1 million. But how do you know if you have one of these super valuable error coins in your collection? Well, it all comes down to closely examining the coin. If you happen to come across a 1990D Washington quarter, here's what to look for. Check the date and the mint mark closely. If you spot any unusual doubling in the lettering, such as a double D mint mark or multiple impressions on the date or on George Washington's face, that's a clue that you might have one of those rare error coins. You'll want to inspect the coin under a magnifying glass or use a loupe to really get a close look. Pay attention to any doubling or misalignment of the image, especially around the key features like the date, mint mark, or Washington's profile. If you think you've found something valuable, don't just assume it's worth a fortune right away. Get it evaluated by a professional numismatist or take it to a coin dealer who can give you a better idea of its true worth. So, what makes these error coins so valuable? Well, rarity is a big factor. Coins with these kinds of mistakes are incredibly scarce, and collectors love them because they're one of a kind. They're like little pieces of history that shouldn't even exist, making them highly sought after in the numismatic world. And when you add the historical value of the Washington quarter, which is already deeply tied to American heritage, you've got a collector's dream on your hands. Some of these 1990D Washington quarters with errors have even sold for over $1 million at auction, making them a potential gold mine for the right person. So, what's the bottom line? If you're lucky enough to have a 1990D Washington quarter, and it has a rare mint error, you could be holding a coin worth a fortune. But even if you don't have one yet, keep an eye out for any of these rare finds, you never know when you might come across one. Welcome back to the channel. Rarest Coins. If you've ever wondered about the hidden treasures that could be hiding in your coin collection, you're in for a treat today. In this video, we're going to take a deep dive into the 1982D Washington quarter. This coin is packed with history and, believe it or not, could be worth a jaw-dropping $1.3 million. That's right, we'll be exploring its history, its value, and what makes it so rare. Stick with me because by the end of this video, you might just find yourself digging through your coin collection to see if you have one of these incredible treasures. Let's start with some history. The Washington quarter has been a staple of U.S. coinage since 1932. It was created to honor the first president of the United States, George Washington. Its design, featuring Washington's portrait on the obverse and a majestic eagle on the reverse, has undergone only minor changes over the years. The coin has become an iconic symbol of American heritage, making it one of the most collected coins in U.S. history. Now, fast forward to 1982. The 1982D Washington quarter was minted in Denver, as indicated by the D mint mark. For most people, this coin was simply a regular quarter, worth just 25 cents, the same as every other quarter produced that year. But what makes the 1982D Washington quarter special is the fact that there are some extremely rare varieties and errors that have surfaced over the years, and these could be worth a lot more than face value. The 1982D Washington quarter is notable for a very specific reason: the occurrence of a rare minting error that makes a small number of these coins highly sought after by collectors. While the majority of these quarters were struck perfectly and are worth no more than their face value, there are some out there with the unique mistake, a rare double die error. So, what exactly is a double die error, and why does it make a coin so valuable? A double die error occurs when the coin is struck more than once with a die, causing certain features on the coin to appear as if they're duplicated. This is especially noticeable on the lettering, the date, and sometimes the mint mark. In the case of the 1982D Washington quarter, this error shows up as doubling on the letters and numbers, giving the coin a unique, almost a ghosted appearance. If you're wondering how valuable these error coins can be, the answer is mind-blowing. A 1982D Washington quarter with a double die error has been known to sell for tens of thousands of dollars, and in some cases, even more. In fact, there are records of one of these rare error coins selling for a staggering $1.3 million at auction. This is because such coins are incredibly rare, and their condition plays a huge role in how much they can sell for. Now, you might be thinking, how do I know if I have one of these million-dollar coins? Well, let me walk you through it. The first step is to closely examine your 1982D Washington quarter. You'll need a magnifying glass or a loupe to really get a good look at the details. The double die error is most noticeable around the date and the mint mark, so start by focusing on these areas. If you see any signs of doubling in the numbers of the year or the D mint mark, it could be a sign that you've found one of these rare coins. Next, you'll want to carefully check for doubling on the inscriptions around the edge of the coin. Look for ghosted or double lettering that doesn't line up properly with the original strike. Sometimes, you might notice extra details around George Washington's face or even around the eagle on the reverse. These can also indicate a double die error. But here's the thing, just because you find doubling doesn't necessarily mean the coin is worth $1 million. The value of these error coins depends heavily on their overall condition. Coins that are in better shape without too much wear and tear are the ones that can fetch the highest prices. If you think you have a 1982D Washington quarter with this type of error, the next step is to get it professionally evaluated. Coin dealers and professional numismatists can help you assess the coin's authenticity, condition, and value. If you have a true error coin, you could have a rare gem on your hands, and it might be worth more than you ever imagined. So, why do people pay so much for coins like this? The answer lies in rarity, history, and the thrill of owning a piece of U.S. numismatic history. A coin like the 1982D Washington quarter with a double die error is not something you come across every day. When collectors get the chance to buy one, they're not just adding a coin to their collection, they're adding a rare and valuable piece of history that few others will ever own. For many collectors, finding a rare coin like this is the ultimate treasure hunt. The excitement of finding. Welcome back, coin collectors and history enthusiasts. In today's video, we're diving into the fascinating world of the 1979D Washington quarter dollar. You might be thinking it's just another coin from the late 70s, but what if I told you this quarter could be worth a staggering $1.5 million? Yes, you heard that right. Stick around to discover the history, value, and rare features of the 1979D Washington quarter, and how this seemingly common coin could be hiding a fortune. So, let's get started with the history and significance behind the 1979D Washington quarter and why it has captivated collectors for decades. To understand the value of the 1979D Washington quarter, it's important to first take a step back and look at the history of this iconic coin. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 to commemorate George Washington's 200th birthday. Designed by John Flanagan, the quarter's obverse features a portrait of Washington, and the reverse features an eagle, which was later updated to a more modern design in the 1990s. Over the years, the Washington quarter has undergone several design changes, but the coin's purpose remained the same: to honor the first president of the United States. By 1979, The U.S. Mint had already been producing Washington quarters for nearly half a century, and that year marked an important milestone in U.S. coinage history. The 1970 Washington quarter was minted at the Denver Mint, which is why it bears the D Mint mark. This coin was part of the regular series, but for some collectors, it represents more than just a quarter. It's a piece of history. Now, let's take a closer look at the 1979 D Washington quarter itself. While most of these quarters are worth their face value of 25 cents, there are certain factors that can increase their worth dramatically. One of the key things that can raise the value of this coin is its condition. As with any collectible, the better the condition, the higher the value. A well-preserved 1979 D quarter in uncirculated condition can already be worth several dollars, but that's just the beginning. However, the real story here is the rare coins, those with specific features or errors that make them stand out. Coins that were struck with unique die errors, such as double strikes, off-center punches, or other unusual characteristics, are the ones that can fetch a much higher price at auction. So, how can a 1979 D Washington quarter be worth $1.5 million? The answer lies in its rarity. In the world of coin collecting, there are specific errors that collectors go wild for, and the 1979 D is no exception. While the majority of these coins are worth only a few dollars or less, certain misstruck quarters have been known to be sold for extraordinary sums. For instance, some of the 1979 D Washington quarters have been discovered with significant minting errors. A particularly rare error that has caught the attention of collectors involves a coin that was struck with a double die or an off-center strike. These coins are incredibly hard to find, which is what makes them so valuable. One notable example of this kind of rare error occurred when a 1979 D Washington quarter with a double die was auctioned off for over $1.5 million. That's right, a quarter originally valued at just 25 cents sold for a life-changing amount of money. It's not just the rarity of the error that makes the coin so valuable, it's also the coin's condition. Coins that are well preserved, with no signs of excessive wear, will always fetch a higher price than those in poor condition. Hey coin enthusiasts and collectors, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to dive deep into the Washington quarter dollar from 2022, specifically the 2022 D edition, and uncover why this coin could be worth an astonishing $1.4 million. That's right. You might have one sitting in your pocket right now that's worth a small fortune. Whether you're an experienced numismatist or just getting started in the world of coin collecting, understanding the value of these iconic pieces of U.S. currency is key. So, stick around as we explore the history, the value, and how to spot a rare 2022 D Washington quarter that could make you a millionaire. First, let's take a brief look at the history of the Washington quarter. This coin was first introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. Designed by sculptor John Flanagan, the obverse of the coin features a classic portrait of George Washington, while the reverse features an eagle which, over the years, has been updated and modernized. But no matter the changes, the Washington quarter has always been a symbol of American history and pride. From 1932 to today, the Washington quarter has undergone several design updates, but the overall theme of honoring the nation's first president has remained constant. In 1999, the U.S. Mint even introduced the 50-state quarters program, further cementing the coin's popularity among collectors. Now, let's focus on the 2022 D Washington quarter, which was minted at the Denver Mint. Unlike the special edition quarters that were part of the 50-state quarters program, the 2022 D is part of a series that marks the ongoing legacy of the Washington quarter. While you might think a quarter minted only a few years ago wouldn't be worth much, you'd be surprised at how valuable this coin can be under the right conditions. Most 2022 D Washington quarters are, of course, worth just 25 cents. However, the value of these coins can drastically change depending on certain factors like mint errors, rarity, or special characteristics that set them apart from the rest. And, in the world of rare coins, a little flaw or a limited batch can send a coin's value skyrocketing. So, what makes a 2022 D Washington quarter so special? Well, a few rare features make some of these coins extremely valuable. The key factor to look out for is a potential mint error. Coins that are misstruck, have incorrect die markings, or contain unusual details can be worth far more than face value. For example, a 2022 D Washington quarter might have an error where the design elements are double-stamped, or the coin could have been struck with a defective die that causes unusual markings. These errors, though rare, can be incredibly valuable to collectors who are willing to pay a premium for a unique piece. Now, you might be wondering, how in the world could a coin worth just 25 cents be valued as a whopping $1.4 million? It's all about the rarity and demand. In the world of numismatics, even a small error can increase a coin's value exponentially. If a 2022 D Washington quarter has an extremely rare error or was minted in an extremely limited quantity, it could fetch a high price in the right market. Take, for example, a Washington quarter that was misstruck in such a way that it has a combination of errors. If such a coin were to be discovered in perfect condition, it could fetch millions of dollars. In fact, some coins with minor errors or unique characteristics have sold for over $1 million at auction. That's the allure of rare coins. Collectors are always searching for that one-in-a-million find. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most intriguing coins in modern American history, the 1992 Washington quarter dollar. You might be thinking, how can a coin that was minted just a few decades ago be worth a fortune? Well, stay tuned, because you're about to find out how this seemingly ordinary quarter could be worth a staggering $1.6 million. Let's take a look at its history, its value, and what makes this coin so special. Whether you're a seasoned collector or just starting out, you'll want to stick around for this deep dive into one of the most valuable Washington quarters in circulation. To truly appreciate the value of the 1992 Washington quarter, we need to take a look at the history of the Washington quarter itself. First introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth, the Washington quarter quickly became one of the most iconic coins in American numismatics. Designed by artist John Flanagan, the obverse of the coin features the profile of George Washington, while the reverse traditionally showed an eagle. The design has evolved over the years, but the basic theme of honoring the nation's first president has remained constant. Fast forward to the 1990s. By 1992, the Washington quarter had been in circulation for over 60 years. It was during this time that the coin continued to hold its significance, especially as the U.S. Mint introduced various designs to celebrate different parts of American history. In 1992, the Washington quarter was still part of the regular series, but its value would soon be determined by a rare and specific feature that many collectors were about to discover. Now, let's focus on the 1992 Washington quarter, which was minted at the Philadelphia Mint. When most people think of a quarter from the 1990s, they don't think it could be worth much more than its face value of 25 cents. But in the world of rare coin collecting, the 1992 Washington quarter is anything but ordinary. One of the key factors in determining the value of this coin is its mint mark. The P stands for Philadelphia, where the coin was produced, and this mint mark is critical because it signifies a certain batch of coins that were produced in a particular year, which becomes important for collectors looking for rare or unique pieces. Like all coins, the condition of the 1992 Washington quarter plays a huge role in its value. Most of these coins are worth face value, but if the coin is in excellent condition, such as a high-grade uncirculated piece, it can be worth several dollars. However, The real jackpot comes from a specific variety of the 1992p coin with the rare mint error. Now here's where it gets really interesting. The 1992p Washington quarter became famous for a particular minting error that has made it one of the most sought-after coins in recent history. Some 1992p quarters were struck with an unusual and very rare error that collectors call a close AP mint mark. This mint mark is distinct because it appears much closer to the edge of the coin than it should be, giving it a unique appearance. While most 1992p Washington quarters have the mint mark positioned in the usual location, a very small number were struck with the P mint mark positioned too close to the edge of the coin. This tiny misplacement makes the coin exceptionally rare, and this is the key to its value. Now, the question everyone is asking is how in the world can a 1992p Washington quarter be worth $1.6 million? It all comes down to the rarity of the error. The close P mint mark variety is extremely rare, and because only a small number of these coins